Welcome viewers to this week's Footy Show. Special guest with me here today, Simon Smythy. G'day Smythy.
G'day PT, great to be here. Grand final edition. Let's do it.
Thanks for joining in, mate. And we'll just say to the viewers too, Smythy does normally do national media once a week. So it's great to have somebody here, mate, who'll actually bring a bit of professionalism, because the viewers will tell you, Crawls and I don't do that.
We'll see how we go. We'll see how the viewers judge my performance.
All right, and speaking of Crawls, mate, breaking news.
Yeah, well, we want our viewers to go and help us find him. Like, since Richmond lost 6 days ago at the MCG, nobody's heard from him, nobody's seen him. If anyone can, locate Crawls, let us know where he is. 66596000 is the office number. Please
Exactly.
give us a call, because we're starting to worry. The cops are involved.
Yeah, it's an all-persons bulletin going out there for any of you who watched last week's show. And don't think you missed this, Smythy, but anybody, if they spot somebody out there who fits the description of Humphrey B Bear, which apparently was one of his former nicknames, kids, if you don't know who Humphrey is, look him up. But if you do see Crawls or Humphrey B Bear, let us know. We'd love to track the bloke down and get him back. Ask him, are you okay?
That's what it's all about. We want the big fella back. We need him back in the action. We can't be one man down for too much longer.
Exactly. So, Smythy, great to have you here. You've timed your run perfectly. You're here for the final footy show of the year. And we're here today to talk about what's happening in the big time. Prelims last weekend, and obviously grand final on Saturday, or this weekend anyway. So, certainly, from the prelim point of view, the 2 games last weekend, we had one that was an absolute blowout. The other one that was a bit closer at times. We had one that was an upset with a favourite bowing out, which in terms of grand final this weekend leaves us with one Melbourne team and one from another state, one that's a founding club and one that's an expansion club that's been around for about 20, 30 years, whatever it's been. Yeah. So, there's an injury cloud over at least one of the stars. One is in doubt, hasn't trained. And there's no suspensions ruled anybody out. It's been the upshot of it all. So that's probably enough about the NRL Grand Final, though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. The Storm. Yeah,
exactly.
We'll see how we go. And Billy Slater, how lucky was he to get off?
Oh, dubious, wasn't it?
Good hip and shoulder, though. Good hip and shoulder. Hopefully we see a few of them on Saturday.
Exactly. So, will we move on to the AFL Grand Final, or do we just put that in the whole basket of who cares, really?
Yeah, well, it's kind of West Coast versus, well, I don't want to go for the other team, so...
Exactly, yeah. It's a team that most of the population doesn't like against a team that the vast majority of the population hates.
That's right.
So,
That's right. But both teams in spectacular form last week, PT, in the prelims. I mean, Collingwood almost out Richmond with their pressure, didn't they? They were
Absolutely.
fantastic. Great use of the footy. Big Mason Cox was fantastic. I've never seen so much footage of a player's parents in the grandstands taking photos and videos with their phone as last Friday night. And then you move on to Saturday, and West Coast just obliterated Melbourne when you don't kick a goal in the first half. I'm no expert, but you're not going to win many games.
Exactly, yeah. And I think the other thing is too, mate, I only thought of this morning, is that you go back, 3 weeks ago, and these two teams played each other. And it was probably, realistically, the game of the final series. I think it was probably the closest game, closest result. So, if they can bring something along those lines, and the key, we get that result again.
Yeah.
We don't want Collingwood winning.
I think so. I mean, that game, you're right, mate, played in Perth, and it was really, I thought, the Perth crowd that got the Eagles across the line at Optus Stadium in the last quarter. Collingwood were dominant for 2.5 quarters there, and it's the opposite this time. It's the Magpies. They'll have the big crowd. They'll have probably 70 of the 100,000 supporters at the ground, I would have thought. There'll be a few Eagles supporters, and then there'll be all the neutrals not going for Collingwood.
Absolutely.
Probably not going for West Coast, but not going for Collingwood. So I'm really intrigued to see the battle here. But that was a great game of footy, and very like that last time West Coast were in a grand final, 2015. They beat Hawthorn first week of the finals over in Perth, if you remember, and then couldn't do the job at the MCG. But they've met twice this season. West Coast have got the Chockies both times, and importantly have won at the MCG the day that Nick Naitanui did his knee, PT.
Yeah, so I'm guessing he'll be an exclusion for them.
Probably an exclusion. I don't think Andrew Gaff's available either.
No, that's probably true too. Can Mason Cox back up and do it again, do you think? Or
Yeah, look, I think West Coast will put a bit of time into him. I mean, certainly Richmond didn't have the intercept markers to go with Mason Cox, but I'd imagine that Jeremy McGovern will play in front and take out that leading space. Collingwood used the ball well and sat the ball up to him. So I think that West Coast, they'll be very, very Cox conscious. So to say, and which gives an opportunity for Stevenson and to go in some of the other forwards. But I don't expect Mason Cox to kick 3 1/4, but I expect him to be a big presence and probably contest. Meant to be cold and wet PT down in Melbourne, so I think his job will be to get to good spots and bring the ball to ground for the Smalls to lock it in.
And Shooter McGovern, we saw obviously last week, Richmond, that speculation all week about Dusty, would he be right? And let's be honest, he probably wasn't.
Yep.
You think Shooter will be 100%? And if so, or if not, do they take the risk?
Yeah, I think they definitely take the risk. I think Shooter will be shooting. He's a great player, McGovern, and was able to sort of manage himself through the end of the game last Saturday, and West Coast were able to manage him through that by looking after his body. He'll play. He'll be fine. Is he worth risking? Absolutely he is, because there's none better down back than Jeremy McGovern. I think he'll play, and he'll play well.
And you're heading down for the game, mate?
Looking forward to it, yeah, heading down and sort of book the tickets thinking, great, get to go and watch a great game of footy, great crowd, and realise it's going to be Collingwood. So I'm going to sit as far back as possible so I don't get wet. Certainly don't want any rain in the beer and don't want to get wet while I'm watching Collingwood in the process. So look, very much looking forward to the game, looking forward to the entertainment, Barnsley, Black Eyed Peas, and yeah, hopefully some West Coast supporters can spend the 17, 18 grand on flights to get over and make it a bit of an atmosphere in the crowd as well.
Yeah, look, for me, I don't really know. I think it's too hard to predict, to be too close. But certainly for me, I'm going the lesser of two evils. Not only the fact that I probably dislike West Coast less than I dislike Collingwood, but also the fact that I only know two local West Coast fans and I can put up with them crapping on for a while.
Yeah.
Better than I can all the swarms of Collingwood people.
That's right. I totally agree. Look, I'm tipping West Coast as well, not with any confidence, PT. I think Collingwood, if they can bring what they brought last Friday night, will be really hard to beat. But I think West Coast, if they do get across the line, it'll be one of the great premierships in recent history. I mean, I reckon Gaff and Nat Nui are two of their top three, along with Kennedy. Kennedy's missed about half the season. So to win a flag without Nat Nui and Gaff, that would have been paying millions at the start of the season. I reckon if they can get across the line, the Weagles, then it's just a remarkable coaching performance by Adam Simpson and his team, and great credit to the depth that the Eagles have been able to produce.
Yeah, absolutely. So viewers, is the last show of the year. There is one last chance for you to get on board and get involved with the Footy Show, though, which is I will be starting an online petition shortly, which will be going direct to Gil McLachlan. And what I'm petitioning is a huge fan of AFLW, and I'm suggesting that we bring next year, the 2019 Toyota AFL season, forward into that same time slot. February sort of start, run it similarly for about an 8-week period as well, predominantly because that way hopefully we can get next year's Premier named quickly and move on from either Collingwood or West Coast being the Premiers. So
it's a very good point, very good. Look, I'm in total agreement of that. I think, look, let's just get out of the way. Look, let's start round one next week. Like fair income, we don't want these Collingwood guys rabbling on for too long, like the Richmond supporters did. Let's be frank. Round one starting next week. You've heard it first on the North Coast Footy Show.
Well done, mate. Great debut. Well played. Lovely to have you on here.
Great to be here. Go the Eagles.
Look forward to seeing you again sometime next year on the Footy Show.
Looking forward to it. Find crawls, please. Hashtag find crawls.
Go Eagles.